Welcome back to the game room. Today is super exciting because it's the very first episode of the Great Backlog Challenge. I've been collecting games for years. Every single one of these games was specially curated because they were games that I wanted to play. And you know what? Now it's time to play them. The first game series of the Great Backlog Challenge is actually a recommendation from my daughter, and that is the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. Before we start, let's lay down the rules. Each game goes by a couple of criteria. We got gameplay, lore, collectability, and nostalgia. Now, gameplay gets broken down even further depending on the type of game it is. Here's the kicker. I will only pick one game from each franchise to be on that board. So, God of War and God of War Ragnarok can't both be on that shelf. Five Nights at Freddy 3 and Security Breach can't be on that shelf. So, we're just gonna have to see who wins out on the franchise battle. So first up is gameplay. For gameplay, controls and replayability are key across the board. But for horror games, tension and pacing along with scare design is the foundation of what I'm looking for in a horror game. For Five Nights at Freddy's, 100% jump scares are what it's all about. What am I supposed to do with that? VR brings these jump scares to the next level without a doubt. And my kids even got in on the action and had a blast. So that's why I'm going to put Help Wanted as my number one in scare design. Although my son, well, he just wanted to eat cake. For pacing and tension, I'm actually going to have to go to Into the Pit for that one. Security Breach is a close second, but the storytelling and the way that the ramp up happens in Into the Pit really kind of adds to the mystery and builds on the suspense. So I have to go with that one.
Can you hear me? I'm pretending. Remember how I said I could pretend? The cameras are watching. I must be careful not to move.
For controls, we have a four-way tie between Sister Location, Help Wanted 2, and Security Breach. Sister Location brought some real fresh mechanics from the original 4.
It really refined the point and click type of genre that they were using for those.
And then, of course, VR just brings it all to another level. I truly enjoy the VR. And then Security Breach, well, that's more my jam. It's kind of semi-open, right? And you're able to explore and free movement. That's where it shines for sure.
Are we having a slumber party? Where are all your friends? We can finger paint, tell stories, drink fizzy baths until our heads explode, and then stay up all night.
Next up is replayability. With Help Wanted VR basically covering the first 4 and a bit of Sister Location without the, the actual storyline to it, I'm going to have to give most of these games a 0 on this one. Because I would just go and play VR, Help Wanted. And so I'd give that a 5 because I'd probably revisit that one pretty often. It's a fun one, if I want to play Freddy, that's where I'm going to go. Security Breach, I'm going to give a 2 because there's some things that I need to go back in and kind of discover a few secrets that are there. But
Overall, though, there just really isn't that much replayability to these games outside of just nostalgia. So the gameplay award goes to Security Breach and Help Wanted. So it's a tie. They both ended up with a 4.75. My lowest ranked game for gameplay is actually FNAF 2. So I think that one just had way too much going on in it. Like, yeah, it was a build on FNAF 1, but they incorporated way too many different mechanics, and I actually much rathered FNAF 3 over the first two, and then FNAF 4 just, yeah, that one just threw me for a loop. It just didn't fit, although it is one of the scarier of the original four.
Next up is collectability. So, how collectible is Five Nights at Freddy's?
These games released on PC. So naturally, a lot of people played them originally there and have nostalgia for them there. I don't think that there's a whole lot of collectors out there that are looking for physical copies of FNAF games. That being said, some of these may go up in value later on whenever they become like limited printed games, because not a lot of people bought them, but there's no like collector's editions or anything like that, so it's hard to say that they're really going to be worth all that much. So yeah, their scores here are pretty low for this.
Next up is the lore. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's would be nothing without its fan base, and the lore is really what's kept me drawn in to these games.
Alright, so first off, the way I played these games are not like most people. Most fans have played these games since the beginning and one at a time, and were aching for those bits of lore, right? But the way I played them, having already watched the movie, having heard a little bit of lore from my daughter, I was coming in already kind of with expectations, and the first four really kind of disappointed me when it comes to lore. Now, don't get me wrong, it's there. It's just you have to find it. And when you find it, it's such small little snippets of things that you have to kind of put together and meld. I can 100% see why the fan theories just exploded around this game. I think the franchise really started taking a turn on FNAF 4. The storytelling there was a lot better than the first three, although it was still very cryptic, and of course the 2D side-scrolling style of storytelling. I don't know, it just didn't feel, it felt so disconnected from the other three. But then Sister Location brought it home. Like, this one is one of the ones that I feel did the best with the storytelling and lore for the franchise itself. Although there are other games out there that I think did better with storytelling than Sister Location did. On that note, Security Breach and Into the Pit are actually my top lore games. The reason for this is because they told a complete story in a way that I could play that singular game and have a good time. Into the Pit, although it is one of my favorite games from the lore perspective, didn't help the lore at all from the rest of the series, right? It was very standalone. It uses the characters and everything, but as far as the storyline goes, it might as well be in an alternate dimension. Same goes for Security Breach. It's a little bit disjointed from the original franchise, but it tells a core story and it stands by itself, where some of the other games, they just don't stand by themselves when it comes to storytelling. So at the end of the day, I'd have to give it a tie between Security Breach and Into the Pit as my top games for lore within the franchise.
Last but not least is nostalgia. Now, these games do not ring any nostalgia for me because, well, this is the first time I play them. But I will say this, I am now a fan, and I can't wait to explore the next titles.
Actually just got notification that I have Secret of the Mimic for PS5 on its way. So that just missed this video, but I'm truly excited for it, and hey, you know, game number 1 may not be on the shelf for long.
Oh, you better.
Anyway, back to the nostalgia. I don't see these games holding a whole lot of nostalgia for me even into the future, but I don't see them holding none, right? Because it's my first Great Backlog challenge. So I'm going to give each entry a 2, with Help Wanted earning a 4, just because as a family we built some core video game memories playing Help Wanted. The kids just love the VR aspect and just couldn't get enough.
And with that, the tallies are scored, and the first game that's going to make it to the top 10 game shelf has been decided.
If you're interested in going deeper and also supporting the channel, go check out my Patreon. I'll leave a link down in the description. Later on today, I'll be making a post with a full breakdown of the scores for this series.
In third place is Into the Pit. Now, I'm not like the hugest fan of new age 2D side-scrolling. They're okay. This one had some good little gimmicks to it, and I like the time travel. And the lore is what got it in third place, 100%. In second place is Help Wanted. Not Help Wanted 2, the original Help Wanted on PS4. Why? Well, this one is a great way to play the original Five Nights at Freddy's games, because you get all the experiences, but you get them in VR. So it just brings it to the next level and makes those jump scares 3 times as good. Not to mention, like I had mentioned before, the nostalgia. This one will probably hold the most nostalgia for me going forward in the series. And that means in first place is Security Breach. Really no surprise here. This one with its gameplay mechanics, its open world, and its storytelling being on point, really is more my vibe than most of the other Freddy games. So, without further ado, with it being the only game on the shelf so far, Security Breach. And that's it. The first episode of the Great Backlog Challenge is in the books, and Security Breach wound up on top. Next up is a classic series, Adventure Island. 1, 2, and 3 on the NES, and Super Adventure Island 1 and 2 on the Super Nintendo.
Game over.
Could you stop? What? Probably playing this game and it's got a bunch of jump scares.
Got it.
And it got him. Friday Night at Freddy's. Five Nights at Freddy's. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.